Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Konstantopoulos. I'm a project manager at 880 Cities, and it is a absolute pleasure to be here with you today, sharing about the sixth year of the Ontario Community Changemakers program. I am joined today by my colleagues, Gia Benny, Jasmine Lawrence, and Hannah Huen. And again, just so glad to be here and to be starting another year of this fantastic program. We are a program that is powered by 880 Cities, and also Balsam Foundation is our funder, and just the incredible experiences that we've had over the past 6 years. It is wonderful to be beginning a new year together. All right, so I'm just going to share a quick note that please hold all questions for the Q&A period, or visit the FAQ page on our website. We may have already answered your question there. There is a URL that is on the screen before you, but it will also be pasted into the chat. And if you will be needing closed captions during this meeting, please enable it on your end. Zoom has some great features for that that you're welcome to use. We will be using the chat function for discussion, and the Q&A function specifically for any questions that you might have about the program. All right. Before we begin, I'm going to start off with our land acknowledgement. So 880 Cities runs the Ontario Community Changemakers program out of Toronto, which is the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, and Petun First Nations. These lands are the site of Treaty 13 and the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which is an agreement forged between the Anishinaabe Nation and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy to peaceably share resources around the Great Lakes. As a province-wide program, we recognize the lands that we and our changemakers are coming from, alongside the covenants, treaties, and relationships in their local context. And we ask that you do the same when you're thinking about designing the project that you will be applying for. We really hope that in bringing together a cohort that is so diverse from across all of Ontario, that we are sharing in this commitment to one another and to the treaties and the lands that we're working on. All right, so to quickly introduce 880 Cities, we are a nonprofit organization based in Toronto, and we are guided by a very simple concept. What if everything that we did in our cities was great for an 8-year-old and an 80-year-old? And so that's the question that's defined our organization for over 20 years. No matter the size of the community, we always start with it in our work. Our mission as an organization is to ignite action and challenge the status quo to create healthier, more equitable, and sustainable cities for all people. And oftentimes we bring people together to transform mobility and public space. So a lot of our projects as an organization have this theming, and that's also why the program itself, the Ontario Community Changemakers program, also has a little bit of that flavor packed in as well. All of our work is underpinned by the three 880 Cities guiding principles, which include the right to public space, the right to mobility or movement through neighborhoods and cities, and the right to participate and engage in community. We also have a shared responsibility to the land and each other, and we deeply consider how relationships impact our work. And so, again, this kind of starts off with the conversation around land acknowledgements and the commitments that we have to the communities that we're working in, and it extends all the way to the land itself and the environment and the other kinds of responsibilities that we have to each other as a larger community. And I'm just going to jump in now to why we're all here today. So the Ontario Community Changemakers program is a super exciting leadership and microgrant program for people with bold ideas to activate public space, to enhance civic engagement, and foster social inclusion in their communities. And Ontario Community Changemakers use their energy, creativity, and collaborative partnerships to work on projects ranging from pollinator gardens to advocating for transit to creating spaces for art and healing. Again, this program is funded by the Balsam Foundation. It's now in its sixth year, and we have been really excited to open the program for the sixth year, specifically the 2026 to 2027 program. And we're so glad that you're here learning a little bit about that with us. Um, this slide is talking about capacity building. So the Ontario Community Changemakers program is designed to support capacity building across Ontario. It's designed for all doers, all community leaders, or people who are inspired to bring people together to bring positive change to their community. There's a great opportunity here to uplift some community champions that may already be working in your community, or anyone who might need a little bit of extra support for their projects, or somebody who wants to try something new. We continue to support individuals with lived experiences that are currently underrepresented in the placemaking sector, including those in rural communities. And as well, we are envisioning cities as places for people to grow up and grow old in. We know that our communities need and depend on change makers of all age groups, and we want to support them. So we're acknowledging aging populations across the province, especially in rural communities in the north. And our last few cohorts have expanded beyond the 19 to 35 age range. And so OCC is now supporting a multi-generational launchpad for people 19 and up. And we are also inviting applications from emerging Indigenous leaders who center traditional and evolving approaches to placemaking and placekeeping, including art, dance, ceremony, and commemoration. And so within all of that, we're looking at supporting anyone, again, who is, you know, interested in trying something that hasn't been done before or needs that little bit of extra support, and especially if these are projects coming from communities that need that extra little bit of support as well, or have never seen themselves in themselves or their fellow community members do a project like this before. So we love seeing projects from all across Ontario that do just that. And so we are looking for ideas that fall under the three themes that I mentioned before. Activating public space. So public spaces are areas or places that are open and accessible to all. They play a key role in impacting the health and well-being of our communities. By public spaces, we mean sidewalks, streets, libraries, parks, gardens, community centers, and places for ceremony. These are potential locations and project ideas that create renewed energy, celebrate cultural heritage, and add vibrancy to local communities. The next one of our themes is enhancing civic engagement. Bringing people and communities together is a fundamental aspect of civic engagement. So OCC supports projects which address common challenges and are rooted in local contexts, cultural approaches, and traditional knowledge. These kinds of projects can help to spur people to take on collective action and increase community participation in civic processes. And the final theme is fostering social inclusion. So we at 880 Cities recognize that change starts when we recognize visible and invisible barriers to participating in public space and public life, creating the conditions where everyone, regardless of their lived experience and identity, is able to show up for themselves and one another, can help to foster social inclusion. 880 believes that when we consciously design with and for marginalized communities, everyone benefits. And so, again, these are the three themes that kind of underpin all of the work that is done through the Ontario Community Changemakers program, and also the projects that are supported by the program as well. As a change maker, if you are selected, you get to receive several things. Number one here, project management training. That might include budgeting, communications, and collaborating with other partners, things that help you to do and manage your project. You also receive access to a supportive and inspiring network of peers from across Ontario. We are at, as of this year, we have 120 change makers in training and also alumni. So you're well connected with um, everyone who has been in the program before, as well as all of our partners and our advisory committee as well. So one of the benefits of a program like ours is that we have that wide connection of partners that we can connect you to and peers as well. Ongoing support and mentorship from the 880 team. You have us as folks who are experts in working in public space and also community engagement and implementation of a variety of forms. So you have access to our support in that way. And you also, of course, receive $5,000 in seed funding to implement the one community project that you would be applying for within 1 year. So it's a great package of tools and resources that you get to access. And we're always excited to see what each changemaker does with these resources. So if you're thinking of applying, let me just go through some of the details on who is eligible to apply. So applicants may be activists, tactical urbanists, or ruralists, designers, artists, educators, entrepreneurs, and more. You must be 19 years or over at the time of application. Preference will be given to those who can attend all 3 days of studio, and I'll go into what studio is in just a moment. Um, Applicants must reside in the province of Ontario or in a First Nations territory within the provincial boundaries of Ontario during the time of project implementation. The project must take place in the province of Ontario or in First Nations territory within similar boundaries. And applicants must propose a community project that activates public space, enhances civic engagement, and/or fosters social inclusion. So again, leaning on those three themes, you are welcome to propose a project that chooses perhaps one of three themes or two of them or three, all three. But we ask that you're specifically looking to use one of those themes in your work that you're applying for. All right, and a little bit about the OCC studio. So, selected changemakers are expected to attend all 3 days of the studio. The studio is an opportunity that we set up for the changemaker cohort to bring them to Toronto and give them a little bit of a taste of some of the work that we are highlighting and hoping to highlight that might inspire them along their journey. It's also an opportunity for changemakers to meet their cohort and build a new support network, and to gain hands-on experience with tools for developing project plans, budgets, etc. And so what this looks like is a single 2-hour online session on October 14th. That would be a Wednesday evening. It's a virtual orientation to just give you an idea of what the program will be about, introduce you to your cohort, help you understand the experience that is to await you in Toronto. And then after that, we bring you to Toronto. Arrival is on Thursday, October 22nd, and we get you all sorted in a hotel and with any other accommodations that you might be needing. And then day 2 and 3 of studio is on October 23rd and 24th, or sorry, October 23rd and 24th of 2026. This slide is slightly out of date, which is a Friday and Saturday. And this is a 2-day in-person studio in Toronto where we set you up with the change makers that are in your cohort, and we bring you on a bit of a discovery of some of those projects that I was mentioning, and just really help you to orient yourself into what the next 12 months will be like. There will be regular monthly sessions after that until September 2027. And really, the studio itself is meant to inspire change makers, equip you with the tools that you need to implement your community projects, and then kind of jumpstart you into those next 12 months. Um, so our impact, like I said, we've been running the program for 5 years now. This is our sixth year. Since 2021, $600,000 in grants have been awarded to changemakers all across Ontario. We've had 120 changemakers selected, and these changemakers have hosted projects in 48 unique cities and communities across Ontario. So by applying and joining the Changemakers program, you are part of this incredible impact, and you will be helping us to reach more communities and making collaborative change across the province. And what's really amazing about this too is that you know it's not just about the one cohort, it's also about like bridging those connections, making sure that you are connected with, maybe others who are doing similar work in your community or different projects in your community, or those similar types of projects that are happening maybe in other areas of the province. So you can kind of test and see what different experiences might be like, or learn from one another, and really make the best of your project. Um, I'm just going to share over the next few slides a few quotes from previous Ontario Community Changemakers, and just to say that the OCC program is designed for changemakers to connect and learn from each other across multiple generations, geographies, and lived experiences. And so this changemaker says, during studio, I had some rich conversations with so many of the changemakers, fellow changemakers, because I am one too. I sometimes forget that. I hold that close. I was inspired by how they show up in their communities. I think that's what it is, the passion that they have for their project and knowing that we're always going to connect in this way at least once a month. So this changemaker is really, you know, leaning into the fact that they have a cohort that is supporting them and helping to build confidence with them. Um, this program is an opportunity for changemakers, again, to get inspired by each other and our network of speakers. It sets a strong foundation for changemakers to create change in their local contexts and with the help of their cohort across the entire province. This changemaker says, there's just something different about being in a room with a bunch of changemakers and having so many speakers who have inspired great ideas in my mind. I can't wait to sit with them and create projects and projects out of the things that we've learned. I can't wait to see how we make Ontario a better community. And finally, this quote is coming from someone who is well underway in their projects right now. Um, and they say, I cannot tell you how much I have enjoyed this Changemakers grant and how huge the impact it has been on my community and will continue to be. From lectures to exercise to the creation of a craft circle, this grant has fostered both cross-cultural and cross-generational inclusion. People love it. We have created a hub of socially activated seniors. And these are the kinds of projects that are happening now, and the kind of incredible change that is happening across the province. And I just wanted to share a little bit about this so that you can get an idea of, the experience that you're in for as a change maker, and the positivity that comes with the work of making change. Um, so yeah, just really happy to be able to share this with you folks. Over the next few slides, I'm going to share a few examples of changemakers from previous years, and this slide shows 4 out of the 5 cohorts that we've been able to support over the last 5 years. And again, we've supported changemakers from rural communities, smaller cities, northern communities, large cities. As well as First Nations communities. And so I'll be sharing a few of them with you over the next few slides. So this is Grant Negan. He's from the 2022 cohort. He's an Indigenous visual artist. Through his project, Community Connections, he brought community together to paint murals towards building confidence and community connection. And he was doing this in Sudbury. This included painting a hydro box at the entrance of the neighborhood and a mural for the Indigenous Students Circle at Laurentian University. And he did this also as part of an organization, which is something that can be done. And we'll be sharing some examples of folks who are doing this as part of organizations and folks who are doing work independently. Next, we have Avery Greaves, who is also from the 2022 cohort. Her project is Free Little Food Pantries out of Goderich. Avery is a librarian working in rural southwestern Ontario. In recent years, she has found her calling to being a community-driven librarian. The Free Little Food Pantries project brought the mini food pantry movement to Goderich. The pantries were open 24/7, 365, and were spread out through the community of 8,000 people to help to lessen food insecurity. The pantries allowed for community members to have the opportunity to become direct agents of change themselves by donating to the pantries, spreading the word about it, volunteering, and more. Our next changemaker is from the 2023 cohort. Samantha Loney is a Métis filmmaker and podcaster from Barrie, Ontario. Her project, Traveling Métis, travels around Ontario to teach and share stories of what it means to be Métis. And the podcast that she designed hopes to spread knowledge of Métis culture in a fun, engaging way and help to foster community and a sense of belonging for Métis youth. Speaking of a sense of belonging, I wanted to highlight a changemaker that pushed to create change and create spaces and resources that they wish that they had growing up. So this is Mabe Kyle, who is from Brant County, and their project, Queer Country Crossroads, Stories of Rural 2S LGBTQIAP plus life, is a multimedia oral history storytelling project where they interviewed multiple rural 2S LGBTQ folks on their lived experiences in Brant County. And so Mabe and their team were organizing and implementing Pride pop-up events in Brant County and has done an incredible job at sharing resources and starting new projects in Brant County. Mabe is also now a member of our advisory team for the program. So we're really lucky to have them. And as we kind of continue to build our cohort, more of our alumni are also becoming looped into our program as well through the advisory board as well. And then next, I have Nancy Angus, who is part of the 2024 cohort. Nancy is a joy-filled advocate for aging. After retiring, she launched Age Big, big standing for boldly, inquisitively, and gratefully. Her project out in Thunder Bay is called Park Your Stories. It's storytelling in the grand outdoors. It is a story circle concept where chairs are provided in Thunder Bay parks for groups of older adults or grands, as she calls them, to shape and share stories for community members. She has been recognized as an influential woman of Northern Ontario and a superior Northerner. She's been a really great advocate of the program, and this particular project got a lot of media attention as well. So just a fantastic example. I also wanted to share Jen Gadua from the 2024 cohort. Her project is Ontario Adaptive Mountain Biking, which it was a specific intro to riding weekend. Jen is a doctor of audiology and adaptive bike rider slash instructor living in Kitchener-Waterloo. Following a spinal cord injury in 2021, Jen has been dreaming up ways to get other people with disabilities outdoor on bikes. Until recently, Ontario adaptive mountain biking riders had to travel to Alberta and BC to get coaching and riding practice for adaptive mountain biking, where the sport is more established. And when she did her project. She hosted Ontario's first ever adaptive mountain biking camp, which was a weekend retreat for new riders funded by the OCC program. So just an incredible example of how we're also making change, not just in Ontario, but also kind of impacting larger movements that are across even the nation. Another example, Meredith Sweeney from the 2024 cohort. Meredith is a passionate social entrepreneur, blending her love for local economies with unique agritourism and creative events. She founded the Ward Night Market in Guelph, a vibrant pop-up market that showcases local artisans, makers, and vendors. And through OCC, Meredith has continued to enhance Ward Night Market's marketing capacity and branding with the goal of creating a replicable model for specifically low-income neighborhoods, supporting local economies and promoting acceptance, belonging, and collaboration within the community. We have Dokun Nochirionye, who is also known as Mrs. Noch. She is a 2024 cohort member as well, and the founder and executive director of Thriving African Families. Her project, the Sudbury African Literacy Project, took place during February 2025 as part of Black History Month to strengthen literacy and promote a richer understanding of African culture and heritage within the broader Sudbury community. In partnership with the Wordstock Sudbury Literary Festival and the Greater Sudbury Public Library, Dokun was able to reach more than 200 participants through interactive sessions at local libraries and schools using these spaces as cultural hubs. She has since gone on to continuing to receive additional grants for her work in expanding the program. Um, and she, I believe, maybe also one of our advisory committee members this year as well. So you can keep an eye out for Dokun as well. We have Karen Leary, who is part of our current cohort. After retirement, Karen felt that she still had much to offer and believed it was time to give back to her community. Her project, Community Includes Us, focuses on social inclusion of seniors in the Toronto Eglinton neighborhood, and specifically on bringing intergenerational opportunities within the community. She offers a range of intergenerational weekly programs to enrich the lives of low-income, vulnerable seniors in her community. And since November, over 400 seniors have attended the programs, including craft circles, weekly exercise programs, lectures, and podcasts. So she's a really great example of someone who really just jumped in, and it's only been, I believe, 7 months, and she's already reached 400 people in her community. So just a great example. Um, we also have from this year's cohort, Bolu Adedeji, who is the founder of Evergreen Mums, which is a growing community in London, Ontario that supports mothers through connection, learning, and shared experiences. Having rebuilt her life across Nigeria, South Africa, and now Canada, Bolu understands the challenges of isolation and transition faced by many newcomers and young mothers. And so she launched her project, the Sisterhood Protection Factor, also known as SPF, as a series of wellness pop-ups in London's public parks designed for mothers. SPF is a bit of a play on words. So just like sunscreen protects skin, SPF protects a mother's sense of belonging. And so she's been activating parks and libraries through stroller walks, resource sharing, and parties for moms, transforming London's public space into vibrant hubs of immigrant sisterhood, safety, and civic connection. So also a really great example of someone who, launched straight into it and 7 months in is doing really incredible work in London. We also have Kim Duguay from this year's cohort. Kim is a third generation survivor of the Indian residential schools system and a graduate from the Native Community Worker Program with a career spanning over 30 years. Her project, Wabshka Maingan, is a safe play space for neurodivergent children to play, explore, and have fun in Garden River, Ontario. This project uses natural and recycled safe materials to create safe, supportive settings in the community where parents and guardians can sit and enjoy watching their children play and explore nature on their own First Nation. So again, a really incredible project that is doing great work in the north, great work on First Nations in First Nations communities, and she's currently working to connect not just the indoor play space and adapt to kind of the changing nature of the seasons up in the north. They wanted to have some outdoor space already available. They've been doing it indoors, but they are in the process of engaging while watching land being cleared for future play space. So again, just another really great example of folks who are adapting and shifting their projects even 7 months in, and really doing their best to make change and finding really great ways of doing so through the program. Um, and so, just to kind of end there, do you know someone who might want to be an Ontario Community Changemaker? I'm hoping that those examples were inspiring. And so, if you are looking to become one yourself, or if you know someone who is interested in joining the program, these are the kinds of ideas that we've supported in the past. This is the kind of inspiration that we would love for you to take forward as you apply. Our deadline is Friday, July 31st at 5 p.m. EDT. And we hope that you apply. To learn more about the program and to apply, please visit the URL in the slide. And Hannah's, I believe, adding it into the chat as well. So reach out to us if you have any questions, and we hope that that's inspiring. If you are someone who is not looking to apply, but is looking to share this opportunity with folks in your community, we do share press releases at key moments and ongoing updates on the incredible projects from Changemakers happening across the province. So if that interests you, we can add you to our distribution list. You can reach out to me, Katie Constantopoulos, at my email address here, and feel free to do so specifically if you're looking to be added to the distribution list. And then for applying to the program, here is our contact info. You can contact the general OCC support team. And again, that is the OCC support at 880cities.org. I believe Hannah is adding that to the chat as well. And to apply specifically, please visit OntarioCommunityChangemakers.org. We really hope that you take the next month or so to send something in. There have been some really incredible applications in the past. Last year, we received almost 450 applications. And so we'd love for yours to be one of them. It is just a fantastic opportunity, even if you don't become a change maker through our program, you are already making change. And sometimes even the practice of putting something on in an application can make it feel more alive. And so feel free to explore that with us. And I also wanted to let you know that if you're thinking of applying, there is an FAQ page on our website with lots of questions that are already answered. So if you have any questions, please do check that out. We may have already answered your question there. We will be going into a Q&A period in just a moment. But there are some really great questions about the program, about the application, and about you that we have set up some answers to already. So those are always available. And again, you can always reach out to us at OCC support at 880cities.org. All right. And so with that, that is the end of my presentation. I'll kind of pass things off to Gia for some question moderation, and I will begin to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you for that wonderful overview about the program and all the kinds of projects that we've supported in the past. And we are very much looking forward to supporting the next cohort and also like seeing all the applications and reviewing them. So for questions, we have three questions in the Q&A. So I will start with the first one. So it's from Jeannie. The question is, if awarded a Changemaker award, do accessibility accommodations require further documentation pre-studio arrival, or are accommodations done on arrival as said earlier in the presentation?
Hi, Jeannie. Thank you for your question. This is a really good question because it kind of highlights the process that we go through for intake of our change makers. And so once you are chosen and selected to be a change maker, we begin an intake process that includes a survey as well as an opportunity for us to have more one-on-one consultation about any of your specific accessibility needs at the moment. And I will also say that the application itself does have some questions near the very end where we do ask you if you will be needing any accommodations. It just helps us to understand even before folks are selected. And it helps us to really understand what we need to be prepping for when it comes to the studio itself. But again, as the intake process begins, we do work with you closely and we ask that you reach out as soon as possible about any of the things that you will need accommodated. We are able to provide accommodations up to a certain point, but we always do our best to make sure that folks' needs are taken into consideration. It is very common for the program to have folks who do need accommodations, especially as we're dealing with, a very large expanded age range. And we also encourage it because of the fact that it allows us to learn from each other in really positive ways. So what we would ask is just make sure that when you set up your application, please make a note of that. Please make a note that you will be needing accommodations and then on intake, and we'll be following up with you for some conversations afterwards to make sure that all of your needs are taken care of. Yeah,
Thanks, Katie.
thank
Hope
you.
that answered your question, Jeannie. And yeah, like in the past, the accommodations that we have made range from, having a space for you to breathe in, between
Yeah,
when the studio is going on, like wheelchair accessibility, those kind of things,
yeah,
accessible rooms, those
yeah.
kind of things. Yeah.
Which also includes, let's say, you have childcare needs and you need to bring your children to studio, we do our best to kind of accommodate for that as well. But you are definitely welcome to have them stay with you in your room, and we do, you know, we take those extra bits of consideration if we know that things will be a little more how do I put this? Like it, if needs are communicated, we will do our best to meet them. I think that's the clearest way I can say that. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Hope that answers your question, Jeannie. Next one is from Farah. The question is, are the earliest applications given priority?
That's a very easy question to answer. The answer is no. So it doesn't matter when you submit your application, all applications are given the same priority and are shared amidst our deliberations team with the same understanding. We just ask that you submit within the time period. Because if you submit after the application's closed, we are unable to accommodate that sort of support. So you have a month and a bit more to go, but feel free to apply whenever works best for you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Next question is from Brad. Will we get a copy of this recording?
Yes. Another easy question. Yes, you will get a copy of the recording. We have your emails when you sign up on registration, so we'll be sending out a copy of the recording as well as a list of some of the questions that were answered during this time and some links to the FAQ page and anything else that you might need to know. The recording will also be provided on YouTube as well. So the ADD YouTube. So you'll be able to easily access it. And then we will also be linking it on the FAQ page as well.
Thank you, Katie. Next question is from Timothy.
Mhm.
Can we apply as a team?
This is a question that we often get. The point of the program is to uplift and support capacity building specifically for individuals. And so we ask that if you have a team that is interested in applying, we would hope that you are applying as a group, but with a particular individual that you would like to support through the capacity building process. And this goes for if you're applying, as an independent kind of like grassroots group, or if you are applying as someone who is a part of an organization. We ask that you choose one person who will be the change maker that will be highlighted through this process. It's not just about the grant itself and receiving the grant and making the project run. It's also about providing a change maker with resources and support through the program and helping them to integrate also within a cohort. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, next is from Dipesh Shah. The question is, can I be involved with two or more applications? Do you weigh an application less if the submitter is involved with more than one organization?
I would say that you are welcome to apply with as many applications as you would like. But if you are going to be the primary decision maker and specifically the change maker for this organization, I would say that we would only pick one um, project. And so it is whatever the decision is at that point. So you're welcome to be involved. You're welcome to also be on other teams if you're going to be applying for multiple projects. But just know that it is one particular person per change maker slot, I guess you could say. And so please do your best to, pick the project that you would like to put forward and pick the person who needs to be put forward as well. Yeah,
Yeah, you can send in as many applications as you like, but we will only pick one. Like we will only select one of them
yeah.
if it fits all the criteria and everything. Um, Thanks, Katie. And then just as a follow-up to the previous one about applying as a team, there was a question
Mhm.
from Marissa. Should we apply with our group name and the change maker in question, or just the change maker?
You should apply as the change maker, and I believe that there is a section in the application that asks if you are part of an organization. And if that is the case, you should specify that. It helps us to make just decisions in general, and it just helps us to have all that information at the outset because we always go back to your application for any notes and things that we need to know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll also add that you will see in the application form that applications are for individuals.
Yes.
So, and we are expecting the individual to put in the application unless there is some, limitation with typing or whatever.
Hmm.
But we expect the individual to apply themselves, and they could either apply it, just for their own personal project, or if it is with an organization, you will see there is a box there to check that
Yeah.
it is with an organization. But the idea is that the individual change maker, you will apply as an individual.
Yeah. And I'll just kind of bring up just to make this clear, if the project you are proposing is part of your paid work or on behalf of a larger organization, you should be the project lead and major decision maker, including for budgetary decisions related to the OCC grant. If your employment ends or your contract or any kind of affiliation with this organization ends, our expectation is that you will retain ownership of the project and any remaining grant funds, not your employer and not the organization itself. So that is kind of like a clear um, explanation of the role that you should be playing when you are applying. Yeah, awesome.
Okay. And then another question from Sai. Okay. Who decides how the grant funds get divided? Example, how much money goes towards honorarium, project material, supplies, marketing, etc. I guess this
Uh,
is what you were saying just now, Katie.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. As the change maker, if you are selected to be a change maker, that is your responsibility. You can definitely work with a team who can provide input on that, but ultimately you make those decisions. And we expect that you will be at least very involved in those decisions uh, to that point. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You are the main planner of the project, the main budget manager, the main executor, everything.
yeah, yeah. And you can definitely receive support on that if you haven't done it before, but
Mhm.
yeah, you make those decisions ultimately. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And then there's Asin who says, Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. Appreciate you all taking the time today. I wanted to ask, would it be possible to get feedback on a project idea prior to submitting it?
This is a really good question. As I mentioned, last year we received over 400, well, almost 450 submissions. And so just know that if you do submit any any of your ideas for a bit of a conversation, there is a limitation to how much we can provide in terms of support or any kind of additional feedback. And we would also say that it is not our intention to really influence your project when you submit. Our intention is mostly to fill in any of those gaps. Like if you have specific questions around like, can we do this? That's more of the feedback that we're able to provide. Or if you want to just ask us if the project is eligible um, as within the themes, for example. That's something that we can provide feedback on. But when it comes to the actual details of the project itself, I would say that's probably where we draw the line. We ask you to kind of return to your community and figure out other ways of answering those questions. Yeah,
Yeah. Hope that answers your question, Asin.
thanks.
Okay, another question from Timothy. Will the program support with navigating the permitting process in holding community events in public spaces like sidewalks?
Yes, it's not specifically a module that we currently offer, but it is something that we have experience with, and we often also bring in guest speakers who are able to speak to that as well. So the answer is yes. And you can reach out to us once you're in the program at any point for any kind of support when it comes to that. And we often have folks on hand who can help you navigate through that process or who can guide you to resources that you can use.
Yeah, and I will also add that across Ontario, different municipalities will have different
Yeah.
processes also. So we'll do our best to guide you through that process. Um, and then another question from Deepesh is, do you prefer ideas or projects that have not yet started? What if a project has started? Do you wait with less priority?
This is a really good question. I would say that the goal of the project is, or rather, the goal of the program is to help you learn how to execute a project from beginning to end. There are some folks who have a little bit more experience or who are maybe already starting that process. What we ask is that whatever you do put forward in an application can be tracked through a 12-month process. Um, and it's not necessarily that, that there is some wiggle room there, but the idea is that you're using this opportunity to really understand like what the state of your project is and what the scope of your project is within 12 months. So we have had folks who do some of the preliminary planning, let's say during these lead up months as they get ready for the grant process, and then as they enter studio in October, sometimes they have a little bit more than other change makers. But in terms of execution, we ask that it's within the 12-month period. Yeah.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, next question is from Rachel. If someone applies as an individual, can any of the funds be used to pay for their own time or only for materials and services?
I think that we've had this question asked before, and it is appropriate in some cases to pay for your own time. We would just ask that you be very clear about when that is happening, and how that specifically is supporting the project itself. Um, I feel like Gia, you might have a better way of articulating this as
Hmm.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you are using that time to, work on the project that you applied for, and even if it's for capacity building, you have a training, you want to attend a training for
Mhm.
this, so that you're able to implement your project better, then for sure, like you can use these funds to pay for that, for the course and for the time and all of that. The other thing is that we don't require a very detailed budget report or any budget report during the 12 months. So yeah, like you don't need to log any of that for us. It's for your own purposes.
Mhm. But I
Yeah.
think one of the things that it should be clear, at least to us when we're working through the application with you, and then also as you are selected as a change maker, it should be clear that anything that is happening with that money is going towards the function of your project and the implementation of your project. We have received applications before where it was not as clear. And so because we had questions, it was harder to support the application. Um, so just a little bit of a flag there. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so when you would put in your application in that budget section, be very detailed about it. And then, if it's $5,000 and $4,000 is set aside for you, then that's a flag for us. So be also mindful about those kind of things when you apply.
Yeah.
Um,
And actually, what I will do is I'll kind of signal here. There is a question specifically in the FAQ page that does kind of outline some of this. Eligible expenses can include honorariums, for example. But just be clear, like if you're putting it in the application and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, I want to give myself an honorarium, or I want to give someone else that I'm working with an honorarium. I would say, like, as long as you're explicit about saying that, that's a little easier for us to also understand when you're making those applications.
Great. Thanks, Katie. Next question. Are winning grants distributed equally across regions or based entirely on the merits of an idea or a project?
This is a really great question. We are a province-wide program, and so we do our best to design a cohort experience that allows for folks to experience different projects and uh, uh, different projects, but also, a really balanced um, uh, understanding of what it's like to be a change maker within the cohort. What this means is we do typically when we do our deliberations process, we do separate the applications by region. It helps us to really understand, are we meeting our goals in terms of like approaching the entire province, and also kind of balancing the difference between the many applications that we do receive from the GTA region versus other applications that we're receiving from elsewhere in the province. Um, Again, the cohort is better for a more balanced experience because we are able to kind of learn from each other, and experience different approaches to um, rural and urban placemaking, for example. The other thing that I will say is that it's not, you mentioned are winning grants based entirely on the merits of an idea or project. If we see something really unique happening in a different area of the province than we typically will see certain things happening, we are at some points more likely to score it as innovative as compared to others. So if we're very used to seeing a lot of projects with a specific idea or topic coming out of the GTA, but we're seeing this idea getting taken up in another area of the province that's perhaps more rural, that is more interesting to us, and when we are more likely to score that higher. I hope that answers your question as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance
Yeah,
to this. Yeah.
exactly.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, so next question, which for now is the last question in the Q&A from Elizabeth Jassim. Katie, great presentation. ARBO Seniors Health Village did big change within the community at Downsview since 2019. We wish we knew about such great programs. Today, we'd love to help more seniors to become change makers. Can we do through your OCC programs? Big thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes. Yes. I mean, one of the great things about this program and what it's evolved into over the past few years is that we are now able to not only support more seniors through intergenerational programs, but a lot of our change makers are also seniors. And so, if you know of any folks who would like to gain leadership experience and empower them to be leaders and change makers in their own rights, we highly encourage it. There are many examples that you're welcome to take a look at on our website of projects and folks who are doing exactly that. Um, and yeah, we are super excited always to see applications that are working to support seniors in the community. So highly encourage it. Thank you.
Amazing. And then there's one question in the chat, which so
Sure.
I'll just ask you that. It's from Sophie. So if you indicate that you're part of an organization, say a grassroots organization, even though you're applying as an individual, does that affect likeliness of being selected? Is it preferable to indicate individual agency? So I guess the question, and
Mhm.
Sophie, just correct us if we are wrong, is it preferred? Is it preferable to apply as an individual versus applying as part of an organization, individual as part of an organization?
I would say that there really is no difference in that sense. We encourage folks who are either working within an organization or individually about, um, it's an equal sort of experience. We just ask that I have a note here. That the goal is to support grassroots organizations and emerging change makers through capacity building and leadership activities in addition to the grant. If we notice that the organization that you are working with has the capacity to apply for other funding or is like really well resourced, we are less likely to choose your application. I would say that does not mean, and I'll be clear about this, that does not mean that applying as an organization, applying with an organization's support is a negative. It's not. It's just more so that sometimes we receive applications where we kind of question like how, because this is a micro grant, how come that organization is unable to support that? So, for example, if you are from a really large municipality and you're working with that large municipality on an application, we might have some flags. But if you were working in a smaller municipality that is typically less resourced, then we would kind of understand that a little bit more. I hope that's clear. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're applying as an individual or with the support of an organization. It's mostly just about the fact that we are supporting kind of those grassroots and emerging change makers and folks who need that capacity building through our program. Yeah.
Thanks, Katie. We have one more question. We are at two. It's 1 past 2, but just one more
Yes.
question and then we could wrap up.
Awesome.
So the question is, does the project have to run for the full year duration of the program or only a few times during the year?
This is a great question. The project can occur at any point during the year, but what we ask is that you think of the project not just as the implementation process or the execution process, but the whole idea of project management. So you have the initiation phase all the way to the closing phase, and you're going to be thinking about reporting, and you're going to be thinking about just any of the other pieces that come into it. But folks who have become change makers, sometimes they're immediately executing and doing their program at the right at the outset as soon as they become change makers. Others take a little longer to get their project running. At the end of the day, it's really, can you do a project within 12 months? And there will be some mid-year and end of year reporting that we'll be asking you to send in. And so just kind of keep that in mind. So implementation can run all the way into September as long as you have something to report on at the end. Yeah,
Amazing. So
yeah,
those were all our questions. Thanks, Katie.
thanks. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here for the Ontario Community Changemakers info session. We are really excited to see all of your applications. I know that there have been quite a few applications that have come through already. I'm really excited to dig into those. Again, the application end date, so the closing day for applications is July 31st at 5 p.m. EDT. Please do send in your applications by that time. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us at OCC support at 880cities.org. And if you are the kind of person who is interested in becoming a dissemination partner to be able to share the word about this program, you're welcome to reach out to me as well. It's my email is kconstantopoulos at 880cities.org. At 880cities.org. You can find my email on the website, on the 880 Cities website as well. But I really hope that we see some incredible programs. Excited for it. I think we all are. Um, yeah, it's a fantastic program and always a lot of learning to be had all together as a cohort. Awesome. Oh yeah, thank you, Gia. Yes. But I would say, please, if you have questions about the program as an applicant, please go to OCC support. Uh, and I'll put this in the chat as well at 880cities.org because it'll be a little easier for me to answer those types of questions if they're kind of streamed in that way. Awesome. Thank you so much.